right, so we're diving in. Today's question is all about I'm productive but always exhausted. What might what might my chart reveal about that? Um, well, first and foremost, that's always a great question because somewhere, anywhere in someone's chart, it will identify where might you be working too hard, where you're working against yourself, where it feels like you're pushing a boulder uphill and you can never stop. So the one thing to know about your human design body graph is that it is your personal blueprint. It is your roadmap. It is what I call either your personal success formula or your frequency map. It shows you what exactly your frequency is here to experience or what it's here to put out into the world from your definition standpoint and what you're here to receive from the world from your openness standpoint. All of that combined shows you where you're going to excel and where you're going to get off track. And it really shows you what you're here to achieve. Now, to be fair, there's only one type out there that's here to experience success. Manifestors are here to experience peace. And when manifestors experience peace, that is the signpost that they are in the direction of what personal success really means for them. Now, generators and manifesting generators, we're here to experience satisfaction. And I can guarantee that anybody who is a manifesting generator or a generator, when they feel absolutely lit up and satisfied, they feel successful. Regardless of what the outcome really is. Projectors, they are here to experience success. They know they're off track when they experience bitterness. And then reflectors are here to experience surprise. Reflectors know that they're on the right path when they experience this level of, oh, okay, I didn't necessarily know that was going to happen. Or, oh, I can now see it from a completely different point of view because I'm here to sample the energy versus identify with it. Your body graph is not here to show you what's the easiest way for you to experience success or through the signature theme of each type for manifestors piece, m- manifesting generators and generators, success or satisfaction, projector success and reflectors, surprise. It's here to show you the success or the correct signature theme for you and how you reach it. It does that by showing you your strategy and authority high market. And you get there by really understanding the definition, the energy mechanics you have going on inside of you that are defined, that you're putting out into the world, or that are open, the ones that you're receiving. It will also show you where you are going to get in your own way. And that's what I mean by borrowed frequency is that, a lot of people ask me, well, what do you really mean by borrowed frequency? Well, think of it this way. Let's say I am here to be tuned to, I don't know, 90s pop, right? That is what my frequency is here to be. But when I'm operating through my borrowed frequency, maybe I'm putting out heavy metal. Maybe I'm putting out yacht rock. Yeah, it might be enjoyable for other people, but it's not enjoyable for me. It's not the frequency I was here to hold. And so it feels weird. It feels off. It doesn't feel as tuned in to what I know to be correct for me, even if I can't articulate what is correct for me. And one of the things to really understand is that people can be quote unquote successful on borrowed frequency. You can have money, you can have clients, you can have the greatest job, you can have however you define success. But if you're not experiencing the signature theme of your type, that's not the success that is correct for you. If you're making all kinds of money, but you're frustrated as a generator or manifesting generator, I'd say something isn't working. Or you are successful because of the role that you have as a manifestor, but you're angry as hell. That's probably not success. You're a projector and you're getting all kinds of invitations are coming in, but you're bitter as all get out. I would say that's not correct. You're a reflector and you are just disappointed at every turn. You are in an environment that isn't working for you and you're constantly disappointed. That's not success. What your body graph will show you is from through your definition, how you can reach that signature theme according to your type or according to your full definition, whatever that case may be. It will also show you where you're going to get in your own way when through your openness. It's going to show you how you're going to work harder and not smarter. And it's going to show you where you're going to get off track because you've created the sense of what you think success should be for you in your life. And we'll talk about kind of from a practical standpoint what that looks like versus what is actually correct for you. It's like we're in this constant battle of we're trying to control everything that happens in our life when really the gift, the thing we're all after is surrender. Now, that's actually not quite difficult to get to, but that is the place where we just surrender to the limitations that we have. Because oftentimes our success is wrapped around we've got to be everything to everyone, and we've got to go over here, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do that. And if I don't do that, then I'm not successful. That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of things that our energy, based on how it's defined in our body graph or through the lens of human design, can't do. Is not here to do everything, right? Your energy source has a natural boundary that we often try to override because our mind tells us, oh no, you've got to go be or do something else because who you are and how you're defined is not enough. Oftentimes, that's what happens is that our definition feels like it's not enough. And where we go through our borrowed frequency, we often become too much. It's because we don't know how to use it. That's a boundary that our energy isn't designed to operate through. Yet our mind tells us go find it because it's not who you are. I don't buy into the whole hustle and grind thing that we got going on out here. I believe in the grind, not the hustle. And what do I mean by that? So I was a former athlete. I was a swimmer for about 20 years of my life. And I often talk about this is the idea that athletes don't grind 100% of the time. They actually recover more than they train because our bodies can only do so much. There is such a thing as called overtraining, and you can actually get to that law of diminishing returns. It's like you're putting in too much and you're not getting enough out. Our energy is the same way. We can't just continue to give it and 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 give it, hoping that we're always going to get everything we want in return. What we have to learn to understand is what are the limitations of our energy and being okay with those limitations, right? We're like, again, think about it from a sports standpoint. It's like I was a swimmer. I swam the distance events. For anybody who's not familiar, I swam the same things that Katie Ledecky does, clearly not as fast. But that's what I specialized in. I specialized in distance, right? I didn't worry about butterfly. I didn't worry about backstroke. I didn't worry about any other strokes. Yeah, I could swim them, right? And oftentimes I had to, simply just to get a well-rounded feel for whatever, and oftentimes from a cross-training standpoint. But I didn't worry about those. I wasn't trying to be the best in those. I was trying to be the best in the 500, the mile, the 1,000, 200 butterfly, 100 breaststroke, 50 free, couldn't care less, right? It's the same thing in life is that we're here to fulfill a very specific role. And if we learn to understand the limitations of our energy, the natural boundaries our energy places on us, then we can start to understand what is for us, what isn't for us. And what isn't for us, we can just leave the hell alone. We can put that over there. We don't have to worry about it. And just in recognizing that we don't have to be everything. So when you look at it from this idea of why am I successful, but I feel drained? Or why am I accomplished yet still exhausted? One of the first places you can look when you start to understand your energy is your type. And I'm going to call out generators and manifesting generators in this part is because we make up the majority of the world. We're 72% of the population. So 28 to 30% of the population is everybody else, is manifestors, projectors, and reflectors. We're generators and manifesting generators. We're the most abundant on earth. And when we don't understand our energy, because we've all been conditioned to go out and be manifestors and to initiate and to make everything we think that comes into our mind happen, and I'm going to say this, we whore out our energy. We just start giving it away like it's, Halloween candy during a parade saying, "Yep, let me just give it to that," or "Yep, let me give it to this." And we get into those things and we're like, this this is absolutely terrible. And that's where the frustration really starts to come in, is that when you meet a misaligned generator, a manifesting generator, oh, you know it, because they are frustrated as all get out. Generators and manifesting generators, we will slog our way through a 10-hour day at a 9 to 5 job that drains us and that we absolutely can't stand. And then afterwards, give our energy, 4 hours to, cooking a 9-course meal or doing a 3-hour workout or whatever the case may be, because we simply have to give our energy to something that satisfies us. That's what generators and manifesting generators are here to do. We're here to give our energy to something that brings us satisfaction. And when we experience satisfaction, that's when success typically comes along with it. Is that, for instance, like, again, as a swimmer, I don't know what it was about that sport, but my parents just happened to find the one that I loved and I responded to, loved everything about it. Doesn't mean I was always successful. Doesn't mean I always swam my best time, but man alive, if that sport didn't bring me deep satisfaction, and I would continue to give and give and give to it because I loved it so very much. Again, it's more about finding the alignment of what our energy lights up with versus let me go do this thing because I think it will bring me success. I was 5 years old when I started swimming. So it's not like in my mind, I was consciously like, yeah, let me go do this because it's going to bring me X, Y, and Z. It ended up bringing me a high school state championship that I never would have ever dreamed of, right? When I was 6 to 5 years old, it brought me a top 3 finisher in a D1 program. Like, those are amazing things. That is success. But I never went into it thinking I've got to be this. Yeah, sure, I wanted to win stuff, but if you're an athlete, you're going to lose more than you're going to win. But it's all about finding the satisfaction. Now, think about it on the other end. All the other types out there that do not have a defined sacral. That's what's happening, is our sacral is out there is manifesting generators and generators. Our sacral is like, give this energy to something that brings me satisfaction. But oftentimes what we as generators and manifesting generators do is that we consciously know we have this energy. Yeah, I would say we consciously know we have this energy. So we just like to give it out because we're trying to find, oh, let me go do this thing and I've got to get it out. And oftentimes we give it to the wrong thing, which leads to frustration. Now, think about the other 28 to 30% of the population. They don't have defined sacrals. They are amplifying this revved up life force energy that oftentimes, because most of us as generators and manifesting generators are not giving our energy to things that bring us satisfaction, all the other types are amplifying our frustration. They're also amplifying our drive to give this energy to something. And so, we as manifesting generators and generators are giving our energy to things that don't satisfy us because we think we need to. Everybody else is amplifying it and working through this borrowed frequency because they don't have a defined sacral of saying, I don't know when enough is enough. So I'm just going to keep on going like the Energizer Bunny. They're not designed to do that. Quite honestly, manifesting generators and generators are not designed to go on forever. We're designed to give our energy to something, get it all out, and then regenerate our energy to be able to get up the next day and give it to something else that brings us satisfaction, or the same thing that brings us satisfaction, depending on what your energy mechanics are. But think about that. So we as generators and manifesting generators are giving away our energy to things that we think we need to, or that things we think will bring us success. So we're exhausted and frustrated because we're giving this energy away to things that aren't bringing us satisfaction. And then all the other types are in their borrowed frequency, saying, well, I don't know when enough is enough, so I'm just going to keep on giving. Hey, we all might be quote unquote successful. We all might have money. We all might have clients. We all might have this job that we thought we wanted, but it's draining us, regardless of what your type is. So that's why it's important to know the energy mechanics, is that success One is relative, totally relative. But we all get trapped in this this concept of what we think success is. It's money, it's clients, it's the job, it's the house, it's the car, it's all these material things when really it's built inside of our own mechanics that say, "Hey, as a generator, I'm here for satisfaction regardless of what that looks like." Maybe that's 2 clients for me versus 100. Or maybe that's, I don't know, $5,000 for me every month versus 15, whatever the case may be. It's all about what is bringing me satisfaction. With a projector, what are bringing them success? With a manifestor, what is bringing them peace? With a reflector, what is bringing them surprise? Unless we're all working inside our own frequencies, we actually can't know what success is for each of us. I'll be very bold in that statement. We cannot know what success is until we feel the signature theme of our energy type. And just because you're experiencing success doesn't mean you're actually correct. I would even go far as to say you're probably not experiencing the correct success. Your frequency might be here for way more success than you're experiencing. Or your frequency may be, hey, you're here to experience a lot more satisfaction than you are right now. But I will also say, I think the moment that we are all in alignment with our true frequency, the success that the universe brings us is nothing that we could ever truly imagine. And that's why it's so important to learn these things, because there actually is liberation in your limitation. Think about it. Think about that. There is liberation in your limitation. And we'll leave it at that. So the other practical side of, why we feel so exhausted despite the fact we might be accomplished is our borrowed frequency, is our mind, is the comparison game that we constantly find ourselves in every single day, particularly now that we cannot escape social media. We cannot escape it. I mean, I wish we all could just be like, we're done. I think we can in some respects, but it's part of life. It's part of our everyday, right? We get so caught up in the comparison trap because of the openness in our charts. It's our mind saying, hey, all of these things aren't defined in you. These are the things you're not. So you need to go find them. And then we look online, or we look to our friends, or we look to our family members, and it's like, oh, well, she has that. She's successful. She has the version of me that I think that I want. Therefore, I must go do it. And again, when you don't understand your energy mechanics, when you're working against the limitation of your energy or the boundaries of your energy, you can call it whatever you want. Your energy has boundaries, your energy has limitations. And when we typically try to go overboard or we're overworking, it's because we're working against those boundaries. That's why it's so important to understand our borrowed frequency traps, or the traps that our mind is going to say, oh, she or he has what you want, so you need to go do what they're doing. And it's like, well, honey, that's not going to work for me. Or you do it and you get into it, you're like, this is absolutely terrible. But I don't know how anybody could be successful doing this particular process or this particular method or this particular whatever. It's because that wasn't designed for you, or at least parts of it weren't designed for you. Or maybe it's not the right time for your energy, right? Sometimes in the universe, timing is everything. You might do something today, be like, this is absolutely terrible. I want nothing to do with this. You could try it a month from now and be like, oh, well, this is different. This feels different. Yeah. Because it's all about the energy at play. Because the other part of this whole thing is I'm going to say this, I might get in trouble for it. You're never completely you. Yes, you have this defined energy, but you also have to deal with the influence of other people's energy around you, whether it's your partner, your family, your coworkers, your boss, whatever the case may be. You're always being influenced by their energy. You're always being influenced by the energy that's floating in the background in the universe. We call that transits, right? Again, that's why it's really important to understand your baseline mechanics, is that you can start to actually identify when you're being influenced by the areas that are open in you and your mind's saying to you, go run after that, go do it, when really it's your energy boundary saying, no, that ain't me. That's not me. I don't need to have anything to do with this right now. Or I can remove myself from this situation and find clarity in my own energy. You can, as you decondition, truly, that's the process of recognizing what your borrowed frequency is. We're in the world of human design, we call it the not self as well. I think sometimes borrowed frequency can be a little bit easier to grab onto. It's like you're just tuning into the wrong station. As you decondition and you get back to your true frequency, you can actually start to spot when your mind is trying to take over what is natural for you, what the boundaries of your or what the boundaries of your energy are, and say, no, 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 that's not for me today. So, two very practical examples is now, there are a lot of areas in your chart that will say, yes, this is why you're probably exhausted giving so much of yourself, but I'm going to identify two. One is the open ego or open heart center. That is the center of energy that is for commitment, is for willpower, is for keeping promises that we make. 65% of the population has that undefined. Over 5 billion people do not have consistent access to willpower, to commitment, and to making promises. That means that we can't always consistently say the yes and keep the yes once we've said it. It's also the center for competitiveness. Now, think about that. Now, 65% of the population has that undefined. Over 5 billion people are amplifying the competitive energy across the world. And you wonder why we're all so competitive with one another, why we're always comparing ourselves to one another. And I throw myself in there because I have a completely open ego center. I have spent my entire life trying to prove myself, trying to prove that I have all the skills to show that I'm talented or that I've got the charisma in order to turn my thoughts into actions or my thoughts into deeds. And I've legitimately, you know, I shouldn't say that. I've proverbially killed myself trying to keep up, trying to prove that I am the best at everything. Now think about that from a generator's point of view. I got all this energy that I need to get out. Yeah, let me promise, let me make commitments, let me give it to something just to prove that I can. That has been one of the biggest aha moments for me. And in an open ego or an undefined ego in a chart can be one of the most powerful conditioning sources or borrowed frequency sources that is out there, because it is that competitive drive. It is that desire to prove, because with it comes the interpretation of your mind saying, well, you're not good enough or you're not worthy enough. And that's because your mind doesn't understand that you are not built to consistently make promises. Now, that doesn't mean that those of us who have it undefined can't make promises. It simply means that those of us who have it undefined or open have to be very selective in the promises we make. Because once we say yes to something, and I'm using a generator or manifesting generator, once we say yes, and it is correct for us, and our energy lights up, and we are satisfied doing it, we can make that commitment. Now, what that means is it's not always going to be a consistent commitment. As a generator or a manifesting generator, we need additional prompts, additional things to say yes or no to that says, yes, I can continue to give my energy to this, or no, it's not available. That's all it means. And again, it sounds so simple because it is. It's just not easy to do in practice. You've got to work really hard to undo your borrowed frequency, to undo or at least recognize, oh yeah, I'm really trying to prove myself right now. And you'll know it. Yeah, those of us who are I'm going to use the generator undefined ego. We know is because when we're given a yes, what I've started to realize in my deconditioning process, and this is just my trip, right? It's not necessarily anybody else's, but this is just food for thought, is like, I can hear my brain saying, yeah, but if you do it, it might lead to X, Y, and Z. Or see, this is an opportunity for you to prove that you can bleh. Like sometimes I can hear that in my mind, or I have a defined ajna, so my mind, yes, talks to me. I have that voice and I'm like, oh, there it is, right? What I've started to notice is that when something is a true yes, I literally will like pull towards something. And then if it's more of a, yeah, you could, if, and this might lead to, I don't know what the hell it's going to lead to. So in my mind, it's like, whoa, take a step back. Doesn't mean it's a no. It simply means it's probably not a full on, let me say yes right now in this moment. Let me root through what that really means. And am I trying to prove something right now? Or if I say yes, am I trying to prove that it's going to lead to an outcome that I think will make me successful? Tying it all back to the idea of success. Because if I get into it and I'm frustrated as hell, I'll never be successful. I was like, yeah, I knew I shouldn't have said yes to this. Um, and you can really start to feel the deconditioning or hear the deconditioning in your mind once you really put the emphasis and the the work into it. Now, the other area that can be really a really driving force in terms of being accomplished yet being exhausted is an undefined root. That is your physical pressure center. That is your adrenaline system. That is, where we all experience physical stress. Now, I do not have an undefined route. I actually have a very, very defined route. A lot of the activations in my route, or a lot of the gates in my route, are activated. So I experience very consistent physical pressure all the time. However, in speaking with people who have an undefined route, the borrowed frequency is I rush and rush and rush to get things done in the hopes of relieving this physical pressure. People with undefined routes are some of the most efficient people because give them something. If you want something done really fast, give it to somebody who has an undefined route because they'll be like, yep, I don't want this pressure. I'm going to get it done so I don't have to worry about it anymore. The challenge there is the pressure never really goes away. Simply because there's always pressure in the universe. There's always pressure in the environment. 60% 60% have a defined route, 40% have an undefined route. So we've got more who have defined than undefined. So those who have it undefined are going to feel the physical pressure from those of us who have it defined. You're going to amplify that physical pressure. And one of the things that I've heard from a lot of people who have an undefined route is they actually work to procrastinate a little bit. That if they're given something, they wait a little bit. They don't necessarily rush to go do it, to really start to see where they're succumbing to the physical pressure versus where they can use that physical pressure to their advantage. Those of us who have the undefined centers, that's what we're really trying to learn is we know this energy is going to pass through those centers all the time. What we have to start to discern is how can I use that energy to my advantage? Because sometimes it can be to your advantage. Or how do I keep it from forcing me, from pushing me, from seducing me into working through energy that isn't mine? How do I keep this energy from seducing me past my energetic limits? That might be a question I start asking myself. Is am I being seduced beyond my energetic limits right now? As a generator, I need yes or no questions. So maybe that's a good question we can start asking each other is, are you being seduced past your energetic limits? Um, these are three simple practical ways to really start to understand where feeling pushed beyond your energetic limits or where feeling accomplished but exhausted might come from. It's all about understanding your mechanics. Now, also recognize it can take a little bit of time to understand what your mechanics really mean, but that doesn't mean that you don't start somewhere. It's starting with the basics. What is my type? So how am I here to approach the world? As a generator, manifesting generator, you're here to respond. If you're feeling frustrated, you're likely out of tune. A projector, you're here to experience success. If you're feeling bitter, you're likely out of tune. Manifestors, you're here to experience peace. If you're experiencing anger, you're likely out of tune. And reflectors, you are here to experience surprise. If you're feeling disappointment, You're likely out of tune. So here's something, this idea of success, right? We all get caught up in what that means. The most money, the best job, the best car, the biggest house, the whatever the case may be. The call to action here is, how do we refine the idea of success, or the concept of of success for ourselves? And again, starting with something really, really basic, really simple in terms of energy mechanics, generators and manifesting generators. Is there a time where you've felt extremely satisfied? What was it about that activity that lit you up? Was there specific people a part of it that lit you up? Right? Start to tune into the satisfaction, not necessarily the outcome of the situation, but looking through the lens of your own energy. Can you think of this is for manifesting generators and generators. Can you think of a very specific example where you felt so incredibly lit up, you thought you could run through a wall? That is what it feels like to be really completely satisfied. Dissect it. What came up? What does that look like? Who was there? What was the activity? What did the satisfaction really feel like? For me, it is like I feel like I can run through a wall, like I can take my energy and just punch my way through something. But what does that feel like for you? Is there a difference of what satisfaction feels like? And can you identify themes across your life where you've experienced that multiple times? Now, for projectors, what invitations have allowed you to experience success? What kind of people, or are there specific people who have allowed you and their energy to help you experience success? What was it about the situation or the invitation, once you've accepted it, that allowed you to feel success? Projectors, you are here to experience success through other people. You learn about yourself by borrowing the energy, where it is correct for you to borrow the energy through invitations. So what about those invitations allowed you to experience success? Manifestors, identify where you've experienced peace. Identify your role. Identify the actions you took. Identify the people who were there to pick up the torch once you initiated, to take your impact forward. Identify where you've felt peace. And then finally, reflectors. Where have you experienced surprise? What kind of environment were you in? What was it about the environment? What was it about the people within that environment that allowed you to sample the energy versus identifying with it? Success is relative. Accomplishments are relative. It all comes back to experiencing the signature theme of your energy mechanic. Generators and manifesting generators, satisfaction. Manifestors, peace. Projectors, success. Reflectors, surprise. And be very bold and say that's what our success is all about. It's not about the outcome. It's about how your energy is being expressed through that experience. Thank you again, everybody, for joining, and let me know what you think. How have when you listen to this, you play it back, depending on your type, or if you don't know your type, I'm always happy to support anybody in figuring that out. Then dissecting, hey, where's the satisfaction? Where's the success? Where's the peace? And where's the surprise? As always, happy Thursday.